It was a Sunday afternoon in May. The circus had come to Yungay. Children had their faces painted. A juggler worked the crowd. Others were at the football stadium. There was a match on. Others were simply at home. Sunday lunch on the table. Yungay sat in the Callejón de Huaylas, a deep green valley carved into the Andes. 25,000 people called it home. To the east, Nevado Huascaran dominated the skyline. The highest mountain in Peru, nearly 6,800 meters of ice and rock. Nobody was thinking about the mountain. At 3:23 in the afternoon, the ground moved. Far to the west, under the Pacific, a tectonic plate had lurched. Magnitude 7.9, the most powerful earthquake in Peru's recorded history. In Yungay, adobe walls cracked. Church bells rang without anyone pulling them. People ran into the streets. The shaking lasted 45 seconds, long enough for an entire city to wonder if it would survive. Then the shaking stopped. Dust settled. People helped each other up. Some were bleeding. Most were alive. High above the city, the earthquake had done something far worse. The north face of Huascaran, nearly a kilometer wide, had begun to move. The glacier had been held in place for thousands of years. Friction and cold, that was all that had kept it there. The earthquake's vibration was enough to break that bond. 80 million cubic meters of ice, snow and rock broke free. Roughly equivalent to 30 million dump trucks released at once. It hit the steep valley below the glacier and began to accelerate. Within seconds, it was moving at close to 300 kilometers per hour. Ahead of the mass, a pressure wave of compressed air moved even faster. A wind capable of throwing vehicles before the ice itself arrived. It hit the town of Reconstruction first, 5 kilometers from Yungay. Reconstruction was buried completely. The flow did not slow. It hit a natural ridge in the valley and launched into the air. For a moment, 80 million cubic meters of ice was airborne. It came down on the other side and kept moving. 16 kilometers of terrain in under 4 minutes. In Yungay, after the shaking stopped, something felt wrong. A deep rolling thunder filled the valley. Not the rumble of an earthquake, something else. Some looked north and saw a white cloud rising above the ridge. A few people ran toward the cemetery hill at the edge of town. The hill rose only 20 meters above the valley floor. Those 20 meters would be the difference between life and death. Most people never made it to the hill. There was no time. At 3:27 p.m., 4 minutes after the earthquake, the avalanche reached Yungay. The leading edge hit at close to 300 kilometers per hour. Buildings didn't collapse. They were simply gone. The circus tent, gone. The football stadium, gone. The church, the market, the homes, all of it swallowed. The entire city was buried in under a minute. 25,000 people, under 40 feet of ice, rock and mud. On the cemetery hill, about 300 people stood in silence. They looked down at where their city had been. No rooftops, no church tower, no streets. Just grey. In every direction, grey. 4 palm trees were still standing. They had been in the central plaza, tall enough to survive. Beneath those 4 palms, under 40 feet of debris, was the plaza. The circus was still down there, buried, intact. Some who survived had been nearest the hill when the earthquake hit. Some had been in the high rear terraces of the stadium. Some had been on buses out of town when the ground moved. Survival was a matter of where you were standing at 3:23 p.m. on a Sunday. Rescue teams arrived the following morning. They came with shovels, probes, and dogs. The debris was, in places, 15 meters deep. There was nothing to find. There would be no funerals, no individual graves, no recovery of bodies. The entire debris field was the grave. The Ancash earthquake killed approximately 70,000 people across the region. Yungay accounted for 25,000 of them, in 4 minutes. The deadliest avalanche in recorded human history. A debate followed. Should Yungay be rebuilt on the original site? The government refused. The debris field was declared a national cemetery, Campo Santo de Yungay, the sacred field of Yungay. A new Yungay was built 1 kilometer away, on higher ground. The survivors started again on a hillside that could not be buried. Decades passed, grass grew over the debris, wildflowers took root. Today, Campo Santo de Yungay is one of the strangest places on Earth. Walking through it, you move above streets that still exist beneath your feet. Buried under 12 meters of mountain, the 4 palm trees still stand where the plaza was. Researchers confirmed it. Directly below their roots, at depth, is the old plaza pavement. The circus tent is still down there. The football pitch, the Sunday lunches that were never finished, all of it preserved in the cold, airless compression of the debris. Intact, unreachable. 25,000 people is a number the mind struggles to hold. Each of them had woken up that Sunday morning, made breakfast, thought about the afternoon, bought tickets to the circus, settled into the stadium stands. The mountain didn't know, the earthquake didn't care. The ice followed gravity, as it always has. Nevado Huascaran will do this again, not this year, perhaps not for generations. But the Andes are not finished moving, and the ice is always under pressure we do not control. If you visit Campo Santo de Yungay, you walk above the city. You breathe the same thin mountain air. You look up at the same mountain that looked down on Yungay. You see the scar, city-sized, still visible on the north face. Below it, 4 palm trees and a field of grass and flowers. 25,000 people below the grass. The circus still there, in the dark. And the mountain, unchanged, above it all. The valley was one of the most fertile in Peru. Farmers had worked these terraces for thousands of years. The earthquake was felt as far away as Ecuador. The debris cloud rose higher than the valley walls. It was visible from towns 50 kilometers away. International rescue teams flew in from across South America. They set up camp at the edge of the debris field. After 3 days, the official search was called off. There was nothing to do but mark the site. Every May 31st, survivors and their descendants return to the site. They lay flowers on the grass above their families, above the circus that never ended, above the lunch that was never cleared. The only thing the earthquake could not bury was the mountain itself. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. These videos take real work to research and bring to life. If you'd like to see more, consider subscribing. This has been Cataclysm History, and I'll see you in the next one.